Hello, how are you?
Good, good. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. How's it
No,
going?
no, no. No, you're most welcome. No, it's all good for me. It's all good for me. How are things with you?
Oh, everything's okay. Everything's okay. Just glad to have this session with you. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
Yeah,
more
you're
people
most
are
welcome.
like joining in now. So I'm gonna
Of
wait for a
course.
few more people to join before we go ahead and start.
That's fine, that's fine, that's
Yes.
fine. You let
How's
me
your
know
day
when you want to
going?
kick it off.
I didn't hear you.
And I said, you let me know when you want to kick it off and
Oh,
we'll jump right into it.
definitely, definitely. You've been
Cool.
busy?
Yeah, it's always busy for me, man. I'm always speaking to clients. If not, then I'm creating content. If not, then I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing something else. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah. But I like busy though. I like being busy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We
What about
same
yourself?
here. Same here. I'm always busy, but I don't like being busy, but I'm learning to like it. So I really don't, I
the,
don't
the, the, the thing is, it's like when you want to get to a certain point in business, you
right.
actually have to be really busy to get there.
Exactly. I
Do you know
agree.
what I'm
I
saying? So
agree.
it's something you need to get used to.
I agree. So I think that's what it is for me. I'm shifting from being so free to not
Yeah,
having so much free time. And it's like it's kind of hard liking that, you know? So I'm just like,
yeah,
oh. But I have
yeah.
to learn to like it. So that's
I think it's a thing where you kind of just gotta know it comes with what you're doing. Do you get what I'm
absolutely.
saying? Like, and
Yes.
it's not every bit of the business or whatever you're doing that you're actually gonna like,
Yes, you're
but there are
absolutely
some bits that you just need to do. Do you know what I mean? So it's just part of it.
like
Like, I
forcing
just
yourself.
have to be busy, unfortunately. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
the only person that works in my business. That
Mhm.
means I am the only person that can do everything, basically. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
Ex-
like, if I've got to edit a video, I have to do that. If I have to
mhm,
film the video, I have to do that. If I
mhm,
have a deadline, I need to set that, and if I need to meet the deadline, I need to meet it. Do you know what I mean?
mhm.
So it's all me. So I have to be busy, basically.
Yeah, even when you don't feel like it, you just have to do it, you know? I'm
Yeah,
gonna go ahead
there are
and mhm.
there are certain times in life where you have to do the things that you don't really want to do, even
Mhm.
when you don't want to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And there are certain
Absolutely.
things that we don't actually get pleasure from, like brushing your teeth. Do you know
Ah,
what I mean? Like you don't get pleasure from it,
no,
but
you
no
do
matter
not.
how bad you feel, you will do
Yeah.
it every single day. Do you know what I
Yep.
mean? Like you never stop doing that. So it's just one of those things where you just have to do it. Unfortunately, you know,
Speaking of
it's just
brushing
part
your
of it.
teeth, I had to make that. I had to trying to build habit. I forced myself to start brushing my teeth like twice daily. So I've been
Mm.
doing that for like over a year now, and I'm very proud of myself. It's just a way of building habit and consistency, you know?
100%,
Yeah,
100%. So you get
absolutely.
into this routine of just doing it. Do you know what I
Yes,
mean? It just
yes.
happens, and you can the same way you can implement whatever habit it is that you want to implement. You can
Mm-hmm.
implement that in life in any aspect, whether it's personal or professional. You can
Yes.
do that, and it's really as simple as just saying, "I'm gonna do it," and then doing it.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you. Thank you. So we're gonna go ahead and start, right?
Cool.
Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Convos with Dederils. And I'm Adiola. And the topic we're gonna be discussing today is handling breakups like a boss. All right. And my guest for today is Ryan Rich, also known as My Free Mind on Instagram. You guys should follow him. I can't wait for this session because I feel like Ryan has a lot to share with us. So, Ryan, I'm going to have you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, cool. Like you said, my name is my name. That's me. My free mind. I'm a life coach, NLP practitioner,
Hmm.
um, and I kind of only started life coaching when people basically started asking me to coach them.
Hmm.
But really, I'm just someone that's gone through a whole load of life that hurt me, and I
Hmm.
found a way to fix the things that broke me, basically.
Hmm.
So it's almost it's like my responsibility now to use times of my life where it was dark to
Hmm.
help lighten other people's lives.
Hmm.
So that's who I am essentially, and I do that through the content I put out and through the audio books I'll do, or just the content and the vibe and the energy. And sometimes it's just being just a representation of good energy that can actually help someone. Do you know what I mean? So that's who I am in essence, and hopefully everyone listening gets to know a bit more about me
Yeah.
as we speak.
Yes, that is beautiful. I like how you said that like getting through the dark times of your life and learning
Yeah.
from that experience to help other people. Like
Yeah.
that's deep. That's deep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that takes a lot of reflection, a lot of that. That's really
Yeah.
yes. So one of, like I mentioned already, the topic we're going to be talking about is breakups, and Ryan does have an audiobook about how to get over a breakup. You guys should check that out. The link is on his bio. And you know, I've been having a couple of friends, a couple of people going through a breakup lately, and I wanted to
Yeah.
find someone to talk about that. And I stumbled upon Ryan's page, and I was like, I have to talk to him, and he agreed to be on the show. So again, I appreciate you being on here. So Ryan, let's get into this discussion. So
Yeah.
breakups are painful, talking from personal experience, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and I've heard people even say it leads to depression, and some
Of
people have
course.
even killed themselves over it, which is pretty
Yeah.
sad. So one of the things that I've always wanted to know is, I think I know, but I want to hear your perspective. Why does it
Mhm.
hurt so much? Like, why is it so painful?
I think there are two levels to that, and I think there
Mm,
is some people actually experience physical pain, like
mm,
actual physical pain, and
mm,
they feel that in the heart, in the chest. I've never felt the physical pain, but
mm,
the reason as to why that might happen for some people is because there's a part in your brain that registers physical pain, and there's an overlapping between psychological pain and physical pain. So when you go for a breakup, your brain literally internalizes the psychological event that's happening as a
mm.
physical thing. So your body then recognizes that as physical pain, when in actual fact you're just going through a breakup. So this is a reason as to why some people might actually experience physical pain, heartache, heartbreak. This is why we say it hurts the chest,
Mm.
because that's where it is. Now the other thing, the other level to that is more on the psychological level, where it takes 30 days to establish a new habit. Okay.
Okay, okay.
So if you're in a relationship for more than 30 days, that person becomes a new habit. This is where we get the unification of two becoming one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
at that point, when there's a breakup, there's a separation of the two,
Mm.
right? Of the one, sorry, that's not, from the two that became one. There's
Right.
now a separation from one now into two again, where both of you go your separate ways. Now in that, there is a tearing apart. And in that tearing apart, of course, your whole identity has now been emerged and merged with this other person. So when you're pulling that apart, of course, there's going to be some aspect of psychological pain that you're going to experience. But in relationships, in terms of they are habits, just like taking drugs is a habit. And anytime you kick a drug, and I speak about this on the audiobook, when you kick a habit or you kick something that you're used to, you're gonna go through withdrawal symptoms, just like giving up any drug.
Mm-hmm.
And with withdrawal symptoms, there is pain. You
Mm.
know, with withdrawal symptoms, you act out of character. With withdrawal symptoms, I don't know if you've ever seen a drug addict. A
Yeah.
drug addict runs around crazy, acting stupid, out of character to get
Mm-hmm.
their fix. So for someone who's going through a breakup, their fix is the person or the love that they had. So with that, there's going to be an aspect of pain, whether physical or psychological.
Hmm. There's gonna be an aspect of pain. Like I feel like the emotional pain is, it's just psychologically, like it's really painful. And then
Yeah,
yeah, so you mentioned habits. It's like we're breaking something that you've been used to. So
yeah.
um does duration, like how long you've been together with this person, does that play into the pain as well? Or like what are the things, like the little things that play into this pain?
I, do you know what? I think a lot of the things that play into sort of like how intense a breakup is for you and how
Mm.
intense love is in general actually comes from way before the relationship itself, right? So if you take the average woman, right?
Mhm.
I say that most women are in love before they actually find the person to love, because they've been brainwashed by society and brainwashed by the fairy tales and Disney and all of these things.
Mhm.
They've been brainwashed to believe that their role to play is the loving person, the person that falls in love, the person who's waiting for the knight in shining armor, so on and so forth. So while you're watching this and you're slowly being hypnotized by this, right?
Yes.
And in those shows, and if you look at it, you've got these cartoons or these Disney films that teach you when you lose someone, you cry. When
Hmm.
you lose someone, you're distraught. When you lose someone, you're depressed, right? And these are themes that we actually digest very early on. This is way before we even care about love or care about relationships. So from a young age, we learn that when you deal with loss, it's a negative thing, right? So then when you get to this age, after being brainwashed all this time, and obviously there are, you know, many other things that play a part in this. But when you get into that point where you're saying, okay, cool, I'm 20 years old now, I'm in a relationship, all you're doing is projecting what you've learned onto this person.
Right.
And into that relationship. So when it ends, you know, automatically the things that you have learned on a subconscious level come forward, and they govern how you react. They govern what you think about loss. They govern, you know, how you respond to loss. When you think about it, if you learned from a child that a breakup was to be celebrated because actually you're making room for someone else, you're making room for the possibility of getting to know someone else or learn yourself. If you learned that that was a natural, the by default response to a breakup, then actually it wouldn't be so bad. So in terms of duration, I don't think there's a duration of time that's kind of like the staple of, okay, well, it's been a month for you, so you should be over that person, or you've been with this person for 10 years and, you know, that means that you should feel this way. It really depends on the individual and their sort of preconceived notions about what love is. Do you know what I mean? A lot to do with your childhood. If you grow up in a household where you've seen a really intense but destructive love, you might learn that that connection means intensity. And if you've then seen your parents stay together through tumultuous, chaotic relationships, you learn that love means, well, I ride through the hard times. So you might be the person to stay in a relationship for 5 years while while you're really unhappy. So it really depends on the individual and sort of like their upbringing and their subconscious beliefs about love.
Absolutely. I love that answer. Thank you. That was good. So, one thing that I want to know is, you talked about we're as a kid we're being taught what love is like, what to expect from love, but we're not being taught how to get over a heartbreak. That we're not being taught. So I want to know, how can we move past this pain once we go through a heartbreak? Like, what can we do to move past this pain?
So I do speak about it, and you would know I speak a lot about it on the audiobook, right?
Yes.
But for me, I think a lot of people want the button you press that just removes the pain, right?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you're okay, and actually, I can get back out into the dating game and you know, have all the women or all the men, depending on what you like, and that's it. But that's not how it works. It just doesn't work like that, right? So I think the most important thing is to honor your emotions. Honor your emotions. They are real. They're the most real thing that you have. Do you get what I'm saying? The way I put it to my clients is, look, your emotions, especially when going through something like a breakup, your emotions are a playground bully, okay? And as long as you run away from the bully will chase you, okay? If you sit down with that bully, your emotions, and you understand where they're coming from, you understand why they are the way they are, you understand exactly how they got to be exactly how they are, and why they choose to victimize you. When you start to learn your emotions on that level, the next time you see it on the playground, it can't chase you around, because now you're acquainted, right? So you understand the emotions, and now the emotions can't hold you a prisoner. So you can't be a prisoner to your own emotions. So I think the first step in moving past these types of things is to give yourself that time and opportunity to actually honor your emotions. Sit with yourself, cry if you need to. And this is for the men out there. You have tears because you're meant to use them, right? So use your tears. It's literally as natural as saying use your lungs, and you do that every single day.
Every single time.
So sit down and allow yourself to feel this way. But the one thing I say to my clients is, look, if you wake up in the morning and you feel sad, feel sad. Feel sad. But set an alarm or reminder on your phone to get up and move. So what you're showing yourself there is, yes, I can honor my emotions. Yes, I'm actually in control, because I'm giving my emotions the time to show themselves. I'm doing that. I'm in control. But I'm also so much in control that I can stop and control the time for how long I allow them to affect me. Now you have to get up and move. There is therapy in movement. So once you allow yourself to feel those emotions, yeah, get up and move. Go and distract yourself. Go and speak to a friend. Go to the cafe. Go to the library. Go whatever it is that you find therapeutic for you. Go to the gym. Go and punch your pillows. Whatever it is, if that's your thing, then make it happen for you. But you have to honor those emotions. If you hear any crying in the back, it's my nephew. So yeah, don't mind that.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. So that's cool. I like that. I love that. Honor your emotions. So that's one of the ways that we can move past the pain. And another thing that I also wanted to know is, are there any do's and don'ts when moving past going through this? Like, are there things that you want to do and things that you don't want to do?
Yes and no. It really depends on the individual, right? It depends on the individual. But as a general statement, I would say, and I say this on the book, stop thinking of love as, okay, don't think of it as a breakup, okay? This is not a breakup. And I say this on the book, a breakup would imply that you are going through a process of being broken. So the language that you use is very powerful and empowering to yourself while going through this. What you're doing is rearranging your life. Now you're empowered because you're the person that's making these changes. It doesn't matter whether you've been dumped or you did the dumping, right? That's number one. I would then say you have to stop thinking of love as this fantasy thing that's like, oh my God, like I'm so in love, like, oh my God, like I love this. Like, yeah, okay, we get it, right? But start thinking of it as an addiction. Right? So when you start thinking of it as addiction, you say, all right, well, there are certain things I need to do to get away from having this addiction. So in terms of do's and don'ts, if you are stopping yourself from smoking cigarettes, could you interact with the friends who smoke? Probably not. You'd probably stay away from that. So if you're getting over someone who's your equivalent of what you're addicted to, as in cigarettes, but you're addicted to a person, would it make sense to speak to the people who also know that person and say, look, I'm really trying to get over this person, so please don't update me about their accomplishments and their achievements.
Right.
Because those small things could really kickstart your addiction again. Would it make sense if you have an addiction to someone to be stalking their Instagram? No. That's the equivalent of someone getting off of cocaine and snorting another line. That's literally it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So there are certain things that you do want to stay away from, 100%. Do you know what I mean? Because when if you leave it as I'm just trying to get over someone, then it's kind of hard to say, well, this is what I need to stay away from. When you say, oh, I'm getting over an addiction, you treat it as such. There are certain things I need to do to stay away from reigniting my addiction and yielding under temptation. Do you get what I'm saying? So
yes.
I think if you take that as a general premise, treat it as an addiction. And if you have in your mind that it's an addiction, you will come up with ways to stay away or of things that you shouldn't do.
So speaking of addiction, you have people that we have married individuals, people that are married with kids. You know, they would wish that they could stay away from this person, but they're kind of bound together for life, right? Because they have kids, or sometimes they might even have businesses together, right? So do you have any advice on how these people, they might want to try to get a break, but they can't. Any advice on how these people can, you know, get past this for those?
Yeah, so if you have a life binding thing like a kid or a business, it does make it a little bit hard for you, right? It makes it harder, but harder does not mean impossible. Okay, so when someone's giving up an addiction, they go through, if you're, let's say cigarettes, you go for a reduced amount. So if you're doing 20 a day, then you might drop down to 15.
Right.
You see how you deal with that. And you might drop down to 10 and see how you deal with it. And the more you do that is the more your mind and body gets used to the idea of being without, or at least being with a lesser capacity of the thing you're addicted to, right? So as much as, you are in contact with the person on a day-to-day basis or whatever it is, you also have to realize that there are certain things that you do not have to do, right? You do not need to speak to that person constantly through the day.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to happen. You do not need to be in the face of that person constantly every single day. Doesn't need to happen. You do not need to be checking up on that person's Instagram photos every single day. Doesn't need to be happening. You do not need to be going over old text messages in your phone that should have been deleted months ago between you and this person. Doesn't need to happen. So as much as, yeah, there is still the contact with that person on some occasions, there are definitely small things that you can do that can change the way in which your emotional position is towards that person.
Someone said really hard when you work together.
Yeah,
Yes.
look, all of these things are really hard. This whole thing is really hard, and I don't want to paint the picture, because when I'm saying it like this, it's kind of like in black and white. You know, you just get over them, see it as an addiction, and everything's fine, and pow, you're done. That's not how this goes.
No.
This will hurt, and it's a journey, right? And the way I put it to my clients in most cases is, look, life in any capacity, whether it's a breakup or whatever, is like a gym, okay? And what I mean by that is you enter the gym as a person you want to be, with a person you don't want to be, with a view of being the person you do want to be. And then you go through a journey of torturing yourself. It's really uncomfortable. I go to the gym, I work out, I don't like to. I feel like I'm paying to torture myself. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, it isn't, for me, there's an aspect of pain. And if you look at how your muscles actually get bigger, you destroy them so they build back stronger to withstand the pressure that they're being put under. So what we're saying is there's a period of time. So I used to class that period, the workout, as bad. I didn't like it. I used to speak down to it. But then I realized, actually, it's the most important part of the journey. It literally is one of the most, like, if I did not go through that aspect of pain and hurt and uncomfortability, I would never get to be the person I want to be.
Right.
So actually, this part of pain that you might be feeling when you break up with someone, or this really hard thing that we talk about, yes, it is really hard. But what happens is, if you give up at the point where it's really hard, do you ever get to be the person that you want to be?
No.
So you have to embrace the fact that it's really hard. If you say it's really hard and say, so because it's really hard, I'm not gonna turn up every single day, then you never get to get the benefits that you want, right? No. So you have to keep pushing. And they say, look, when you're going through hell, keep going. If you give up at the point where you're going through hell, well, that's your home, and that's not where you want to live. So you know, yeah, it's hard, but you got to keep pushing through that.
I like how you related the gym to breakup. Like, you know what type of body you want.
Of course,
you have to work hard to get that body. But if it's hard getting up every day and go. It's really hard. But you have to know where you're going. It's
100%.
Yeah. So that was good, Ryan. Thank you. There's a phrase that someone mentioned. You need to get on someone to get over someone, right? Talking about this phrase, I look at it, it's almost like saying you need a rebound, right?
Yeah.
Does rebound work? Does that help in you getting over a breakup?
I'll say yes and no, and I'm gonna say yes, as in the immediate thing, the immediate results. If you're like, if looking at the thing where you're saying you have to get under someone to get over someone, I don't believe in that, right? To me, no. In the long run, no, it isn't gonna work for you. However, when you have to look at the anatomy of a breakup. When someone is going through a breakup, what they are really missing is having that person that was theirs. That's number one, right? But also being wanted, being loved, being noticed, being heard, being seen, right? Now, the closest thing to that is to get under someone else when that's what you're wanting, right? So in the short term, it will give you that, because sexual relations is basically the actions of love. It's the highest point of the action of love that can be shown in the physical form, right? Even if the person doesn't love you. This is the reason as to why some people might actually have sex while there is no feelings, and then one person catches feelings, because they're taking the actions as a demonstration of love, right? So, you know, so yes, it can help in that if that's what you're searching for. In the long run, you're giving an intimate part of yourself to someone that you don't have a meaningful connection with. This is only going to do you a disservice in the long run. You will feel empty in the long run. You will feel worse. It's like having a problem and then drinking to escape the reality of it. So what then happens is the next day you still have the problem that existed, but now you have a hangover. So you're just dealing with two things. So it's pretty much the same. You know, in the short term, yes, it gives you an escape, but in the long term, you have an emotional hangover and the problem that you still need to heal from. So I say yes on a very small level, but no is the overarching answer.
That's a good answer. Wow. So what is too long or short for someone to heal from a breakup?
So if we go back to the whole idea that it takes 30 days to establish a new habit, 90 days to establish a lifestyle, okay? So that's the general rule. But different people might differ. I think scientifically they say 21 days to establish a new habit, right? So people usually think of that like you say, like, you know, tidying the bedroom every single day. Okay, this is a new habit. And over 30 days, I'll be able to establish that and it will become me, right? Mm-hmm. But we never really apply that to feeling sad or feeling depressed. If you allow yourself to stay in a state of being depressed or longing for someone for at least 30 days after your breakup, that becomes an emotional habit for you. So it becomes very hard now to get yourself out of that. In 30 days, you build yourself a house, an emotional house of those feelings that you feel, right? So as much as I want to say there is no right time or long time or short time or whatever for someone to get over someone, but I definitely think that in about a month after you've been crying day in, day out, not eating, not sleeping, you know, all of these things that happen, you definitely want to start giving yourself a kick to say, I need to start getting some things in order. Now, this does not mean that you stop crying or you stop, you know, whatever, but it means you DM me and you organize a coaching call so I can help you. That's what it means. You want to start getting some. Yeah, you want to have a coaching call with me. But no, you want to start really kicking yourself out of the house of depression that would have been built naturally as a result of the breakup. This is a trauma and we need to see it as such. So, you know, when that 30-day time is kicking in, if you're not getting to the point of saying, look, yes, I do feel sad. Yes, I love this person. But at the same time, yes, I do need to start progressing for myself. I do need to start giving myself the love that I've been giving that other person. I need to now put me as a priority. That needs to kick in at some point. And I think you don't really want to wait for more than 30 days because that habit of unhappiness starts to kick in, right? So if you leave it for about 3 months, you know, people say time heals, but in actual fact, it doesn't. It really doesn't. If you sit there and you don't heal and you don't do the inner work for 30 days, for 90 days, it's pretty much a lifestyle for you. And then you go on in life kind of highly functioning, right? But there's this undercurrent theme of pain and emotion that hasn't been released or hasn't been healed that actually affects you on a subconscious level. So even though consciously you say, yeah, it's been 10 years, I'm absolutely fine. If we were to have a conversation in the coaching space, we'd get to the bottom of it and you'd realize actually there's been no healing whatsoever. The only thing that's happened is time. That's it. If you break your leg and then you get up and expect to walk, you're not going to walk, right? And if you sat there with the broken leg, with the broken bone, and you just expected time to heal it, it wouldn't. You have to put it in a cast. You have to walk with a crutch, and for a certain period of time, even after the crutch and after the physiotherapy and all of these things, you're still going to be walking with a limp. And then with that time, as you keep doing the exercises and the practices, then you get back to normal formality, and that's how that would work.
So you mentioned in the beginning, you mentioned honoring your emotion, right? So is it okay do you start honoring your emotion immediately after the breakup, or do you, when is the best time? Should you give yourself time to mourn the relationship before you start like honoring your emotion, or like how would you fit that in?
So mourning is honoring the emotions.
Okay.
So you have that correct.
Yes.
When I say honor emotions, I mean give them their space to breathe. Don't be, you know, you want to cry but you're holding it in. You know, you want to feel sad but you feel for some reason that you shouldn't feel sad. Because like I say, we have this automatic thinking that's kind of like, yeah, I've gone through a breakup, but you know, I have to be strong. No, you're human and humans break. This is a thing, right? So allow yourself that luxury to say, look, I feel bad today. Yeah, I don't feel like getting up. Do you know what? I'm not getting out. I'm not getting out of the bed, right? If that's how you feel, then that's fine. Do you get what I'm saying? Because you're allowed to feel that way. You've gone
Right.
through a really bad trauma. And at the core of a breakup, there is a death, right? This is why you say, should you mourn it? You mourn something that's past. The relationship, there is a death here, and no one would expect you after someone very close to you has passed away. No one would expect you to be right back at work the next day, functioning, laughing, telling jokes, being absolutely happy. They expect you to mourn that death. Now you have to mourn the death of your relationship and allow yourself to cry and feel those emotions that are associated with the passing of something that you were connected to.
Absolutely. And this doesn't just apply to just like emotional, like boyfriend and girlfriend. It could also apply to like friends, because you do
Any relationship.
any
Any
relationship,
relationship. And do you
any
know what's
relationship.
really important as well, to put that out there for those who are listening? Any relationship, including family, okay?
Mm,
Including family. Just because
mm.
someone comes under the umbrella of family does not mean they escape what we are talking about here. For some people, the most toxic and tumultuous people are the people who are closest to them in their houses, in their families. Okay, so we also, when you have to apply this to them, and sometimes you have to learn to love people from a distance, right? Whether it be mum, dad, cousin, brother, whatever it is. If those people are really toxic for you, they are basically having the power to affect your internal state of happiness. You then need to change something about that.
Thank you, Ryan. That was awesome. Back to actual relationships between a male and a
Yeah,
female. I've heard some people say something like, I need closure. I
yeah.
need closure. Do you really, what is your thoughts on that? Is closure really needed to get past the breakup?
Yes and no again. Kind of. I think closure should really be the final part, because I think people forget that closure is basically the final chapter of the book and then you close it,
Mm.
right? Loads of people are looking for closure on their first chapter of getting over someone. It's not going to work for you. You're still emotionally connected to this person. You still love them. And no matter how much consciously you're saying, yeah, I want to be over them, I don't like them anymore, they cheated on me, blah, 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 you still emotionally, that's still the person that you love. So if you're going to go and look for closure from this person where you're not ready to close the book is just going to remain open, because you're going to have a conversation and they're going to say, well, I didn't really mean it that way. And you're emotionally raw. So you're not seeing correctly. You're seeing emotionally. And let me say that again, because that's bars. You're not seeing logically. You're seeing emotionally. Now, your emotions do not have sense. So when you're acting off emotion a lot of the time, it isn't going to work out for you. So when you're searching for closure, it's an emotional search. Okay? When a closure really comes into it, when you've done all the work, when you've started to realize who you are, when you've started to understand that you are the most important person, and no relationship is more important than the relationship you have with yourself. At that point, then you can say, all right, you know what? I'm in a place where I can emotionally have a conversation with the person that I used to love, not the person I still love, but the person I used to love, so we can finally put some issues to rest. But you cannot get it mixed up. Do not be looking for closure, which is the final chapter to self-development in a breakup. Don't be looking for that on the first chapter, which is self-love.
That was good. That was good. That was good. They said my free mind is spitting fire. I
I'm
completely
dropping bars right now. I'm dropping bars for them.
yes. Yes, you're killing it. Guys, if you guys have any questions for later on, please type it in the question box, because we're gonna take on the questions later after. But I agree, self-love is very important. But I never looked at it that way, as closure
Yeah.
being the final chapter. I never saw it that way. I always thought like some people, and I feel like most people have that so confused,
Yeah.
because immediately they break up, the first thing they say is, I need closure.
Yeah.
That's
Wait,
the
so
first thing.
when someone says that, when they've broken up with someone, and the first thing that they say is, "I just need closure."
Yeah.
As a coach, my job as a coach is to hear what the person isn't saying in what they have said, right? So if someone says, "I need closure," that's not what you mean. What you mean is you are still emotionally attached to someone, so you are looking for something that you can rationalize in your brain that doesn't sound like, "I still need this person," because you know that you should be away from them, right? But how you justify it in your brain is to say, "Well, no, I just need closure," because in your brain that says, "Okay, yeah, it's fine, you know, it's just closure. I'm going to end it after I speak to them. I'm going to end it after I get this closure." That's not what you mean. And we all know how closure usually ends up, or those closure conversations. There's a meme that says, "Look, if you are looking for closure, why is it you're wearing matching underwear and you have wax?" Do you know what I mean? It's like, you're not going for closure. That's not what you're going for. You're not going for closure. Do you know what I mean?
Going for closure.
You're not going for
That
closure.
is so true. That is so
You're going
true.
for connections.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for explaining that concept of closure. So,
Yeah.
and the next thing that I want to talk about is we talk about healing, right? I want to know, like, how do you know that you've healed, or do you ever really heal from